Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1976 Reliant Super Robin 850. Up front is a 0.85 liter inline 4, and down below is a 4-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Reliant because it's a Reliant Robin! It's so iconic with the 1970s. It's so cool and unique, and I absolutely love it. I'm so excited to share it with you guys today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 850cc inline 4. Well, it is Reliant built. However, people say that they sort of borrowed some designs, and it's not very powerful. It's only 850cc's. However, the engine was actually made larger than the original in 1975. It used to be a 750. Now it's an 850, which is why this is called the Super. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed manual transmission, which I am fighting tooth and nail to get into gear. I have to plead with it. One of the big issues with these cars is that the shifter will just sometimes pop out. So I experienced that here this morning, and it was rather terrifying. It is a 4-speed manual, and when it is in gear, it actually works really well. The clutch is really, really light, but because of the low displacement of the engine, it's not very forgiving. So overall, it's fun to drive, but a little nerve-wracking at the same time. Last but not least, the Reliant Robin is rear-wheel drive. However, as you'll notice, it is a 3-wheeled vehicle. So what's it like to drive a 3-wheeled car? Well, it's a little shaky. You only have one steer wheel up at the front, which is kind of the worst part. However, unlike what that English show would tell you, it actually doesn't tip over at every chance. I've been driving it today on some twisty roads and haven't even felt queasy once. It is fun though. Come on, baby. Here, I'm doing a turn. Not tipping. Not tipping. Still not tipping. Come on! Now, the beauty of this is the 3 wheels, because back in the 1970s, working class British citizens that didn't have a car license couldn't drive their motorcycles in the wintertime. So, Reliant came up with this. Because of the low displacement, low weight, and 3 wheels, you could drive it with a motorcycle license. So, people in the wintertime could go to the steel mill or coal mine without freezing to death. And that was a very nice thing. So that's out of the way. Let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me I have 2 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and fuel, and off to the right is my speedometer. I also have buttons for my wipers, lights, defrost, hazard, alternator, and fog lights, but that's it. The steering wheel has a little Reliant badge in the center, but again, very dainty, very thin, and very small. Moving on to the door, we have the latch to get in and out and the crank for the window. That's it. And moving into the center, we do have an aftermarket radio because MP3 and aux cords didn't exist in the 1970s. We do have 3 gauges for voltage, vacuum, and oil, of which 2 have the original Reliant badging on them. I absolutely love seeing that as an American. And then I have a knob for my choke, my heater dial, which is missing the dial portion, and the shifter. Like I said, that has been fighting me all morning, but I think we've kissed and made up at this point, so I'm enjoying it. We do have the handbrake, but no cup holder here in the Reliant Robin, so unfortunately, but predictably, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Now, the seats are also very small. I have to practice portion control with my buttocks, but they've actually been relatively comfortable the whole time I've been driving it, so I don't really have any complaints. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. Now, it really only has back seats for regulation. Ooh, I don't think people in the 70s in Britain were really my size, but most of me's back here. Let's get all of me back here. I actually am in the back of the Reliant Robin. You can take 4 people in this car. Now, is that a really smart idea? No, I wouldn't recommend it, especially because even with me in here, it's not very quick. Uphills were a little bit of a struggle, so I can only imagine you and your 3 mates trying to go up a hill would not work all that well. So I'm in the backseat of a Reliant Robin. I don't think many people this side of the Atlantic can say that, and that to me is special. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space. Then we'll talk about the looks. So not a whole lot of space around the back of the Reliant Robin, but you didn't really need much. It was a small car. You're not gonna do much hauling with it. Now we gotta talk about the looks of the Reliant Robin. And obviously the three-wheeledness, the tininess, it's just very, very fun to look at. I hope you're enjoying this walk around. But I actually think it is kind of handsome. This is the very first generation of the Reliant Robin. There was a second, and later like kind of a third-ish, like a more modern one. But this does have like the round headlights. You know, this is the old late 70s one, which I think is just so cool to look at, and it's just so visually interesting, if anything else. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a Reliant Robin? Which is just so cool. I came out here to Oregon for a couple of cars, but this was very, very high on my list, and I am so incredibly thankful to Duncan for letting me take this car out. But honestly, this has been eye-opening in a couple of different ways. First of all, the stability. Yeah, you do feel that you only have one front wheel, which is a very interesting feeling. If you've ever flown a small plane, you're going to know that feeling really, really well, of the sort of one-wheel steering. But if you haven't, it's very interesting. Quick, fast movements while at high speed, yeah, they get a little dicey, but hey man, don't do that. It's very easy not to crash the Reliant Robin. It's very easy to not tip the Reliant Robin as well, so it's actually very fun to drive, and it's just cool to be driving a piece of machinery that was made and built to fit regulations of a bygone era. Like I said, the fuel crisis and oil crisis was hitting the entire world essentially, and so people that wanted small engine affordable cars, this was their answer. This brought so many people to work and school back in the 1970s and early 80s. This was their mode of transportation to keep them out of the elements in rainy, rainy Britain. And so that to me is the coolest part, is not the fact that it has three wheels, not the fact that it's weird and kooky. The coolest part is that this was the answer to a problem. And I think at the end of the day, it's a very, very cool answer. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Duncan for letting me take out his Reliant Robin. I was so incredibly excited to drive this car. What a magnificent little piece of British history. I am so thankful that he was able to bring this out and let me drive it. Duncan has been absolutely awesome to work with, very kind, very forgiving for when I kind of messed up the transmission. So he is an absolute rock star in my book. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.